family's joy, missing girl Gemma Lawrence is safe and well.
A family's grief, pleading with Iraq to return the body of the murdered Briton.
And the president's gloom, Bush says no quick solution to the Gulf crisis.
Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. You're watching Sky World News Tonight. I'm Nikki Marks.
And I'm David Glencross. Good evening.
President Bush has tonight said he sees little prospect of an early diplomatic solution to the Gulf crisis. But he told a White House news conference Iraq might eventually agree to withdraw from Kuwait once international sanctions began to bite. King Hussein of Jordan, whose country has been accused of sanctions busting, is flying to the United States for a meeting with the president. It's thought he may be carrying a message from Saddam Hussein offering a way out of the stalemate.
Back in Washington, though only temporarily, President Bush insists he can still continue his holiday, but there are some things even he can't do in Kennebunkport. Ostensibly, he's arrived for a briefing, but there's a need, too, to reassure the nation. The new mood in the capital is more defensive after the gung-ho excitement of last week. Defense Secretary Dick Cheney captured it as he insisted the United States response had been appropriate.
I think the notion that somehow we overreacted is not a valid one at all. All you had to do is look at the roughly 1 million men he's got in uniform, nearly 6,000 tanks, the some 200,000 personnel he now has deployed either in Kuwait or the southern part of Iraq. A large number of divisions, armored and mechanized divisions, with state-of-the-art T-72 Soviet tanks. This is a very formidable force, and I think it's only the determination of the world to resist that aggression that stopped him where he's at today.
At the State Department, the emphasis was on soothing the United Nations. Last night, Security Council members, particularly the Soviet Union, criticized the United States for sending an armada to the Gulf. There are doubts about the legality of a blockade. All the UN voted for was trade sanctions.
This is something that the United States is more than glad, as I said earlier, to have exploratory talks on.
The State Department is inching towards a resolution. The 4 ambassadors to the permanent members of the Security Council were called in this morning for consultations aimed at establishing joint chiefs of staff under the UN to coordinate action. That might not be ideal from the United States point of view, but it would be legal.
The Kuwaitis can be relied on for a solid front with the United States government. After a meeting with Secretary of State James Baker, their foreign minister was firm.
They take everything in Kuwait, but I would like to assure you, they occupy the land, but they don't occupy the people.
Reassuring the public extended to a new mood at news conferences, a delay because of a phone call from Nelson Mandela, and the opening statement was about the budget. But Mr. Bush was soon back on the topic preoccupying the world, in particular the visit by Jordan's King Hussein.
Clearly, we've always been a friend of Jordan. We've helped them in the past. We'd help them in the future if they fulfill their obligations here. But Ann, I can just tell you what he told me on the telephone yesterday. When he called, he said he'd like to come over and talk about the whole situation. There was no agenda.
The president will meet King Hussein in Kennebunkport. He's supposed to be carrying a message from Saddam Hussein. George Bush refused to speculate how the meeting might go, adding he would consider blockading the Jordanian port of Aqaba if there were proof supplies were getting through from there to the Iraqis. A dramatic backdrop to what will be a crucial meeting. Jackie Rowley, Sky News.
King Hussein of Jordan recently spoke of his impossible job in trying to reach a diplomatic solution to the crisis sparked by Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. But undaunted, he's already met Iraq's President Saddam Hussein in an effort to ease the current crisis. And in his meeting with President Bush, recently returned from a summer break, it's thought King Hussein will be conveying the Iraqi president's thoughts on the situation. But just what common ground they'll find is uncertain.
Of course, in such a situation, such contacts definitely is very important. And because the contact on such a high level, a very high level, it's really very difficult to speculate.
Scores of refugees are continuing to flee from Iraq to the relative safety of Jordan, bringing with them all the belongings they can cram into the crowded trucks taking them across the border. With the refugees come loaded lorries which rumble their way along the road to Baghdad, a lifeline for Iraq and a gaping hole in United Nations sanctions. While goods and refugees seep through the Jordanian border, the Emir of Kuwait has been meeting officials in Syria, Iraq's sworn enemy. Later in Jordan, the Crown Prince there says the level of support for Saddam Hussein should not be ignored.
Many countries in the world were favorable to Iraq's position when Iraq was seen to be defending the Gulf. And of course the Gulf at that time was, the Arab Gulf was very supportive of Iraq's positions during the confrontation between Iraq and Iran. And at that time, for that is to say the 10 years of the 80s, Iraq was seen to be the defender of the Eastern Arab world. And I think the popularity of Iraq and its leadership obviously developed over a very long period of time.
Others who fled to Jordan have been hearing reports of Iraqi soldiers carrying out rapes in Kuwait. Neval Belhaj, a Tunisian air stewardess, said she heard about a Pakistani woman working for British Airways being raped in her hotel room. And she says she saw attacks on 6 girls, 2 of them British, working for Kuwaiti Airways. She says the Iraqi soldiers were like crazed animals.
They look like dogs. Dogs, they don't eat for too many times, too many days. They're sweating because maybe it's very hot in Kuwait. When they speak, they are very tough, very rude.
The border between Jordan and Iraq has witnessed a sudden surge of cars and buses packed with people and belongings. The refugees say Kuwait is now almost deserted.
In other developments, the Foreign Office says the body of Douglas Croskery, the businessman shot by Iraqi troops, has still not been found. The British consul Larry Banks was allowed to search the border area between Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, but there was no sign of Mr. Croskery's body. Nor were there any visual signs of any shooting. The Foreign Office has described the situation as unsatisfactory and is demanding the Iraqis hold a full inquiry. In an emotional appeal tonight, Mr. Croskery's family has pleaded for the return of his body to Britain.
Mrs. Thelma Croskery and her family are grateful for all the continuing love they are experiencing during these difficult days. Their overriding wish is for Dougie to be returned to his family so that he may finally be laid to rest in peace. The family continue to pray for everyone caught up in the Gulf crisis at this time. Thank you.
Gemma Lawrence has been reunited with her delighted parents this evening, 2 days after she disappeared. Her mother Gaynor said she just put her arms around us and we cuddled for a long time. Gemma is said to be very exhausted but well. The detective who led the hunt for Gemma described tonight how Mrs. Lawrence flung her arms around him and kissed him when she heard the news. He said it was the best kiss of my life.
She didn't really say anything, she just put her arms around us and we cuddled for a long time.
Did you ever think that you would get Gemma back?
There was a time when I was doubtful, but you've got to keep up hope. So we sort of hoped, you know, against all the odds that we would.
What sort of state is she in?
She's just very exhausted. You know, she's just tired.
What's it like to have her back?
Oh, can't say. That's just not words. Obviously very, very relieved.
Why hasn't she been able to come with you today?
She's just very tired now. She's with her dad. He's cuddling her and loving her and just taking care of her now.
What are your plans now?
Just to give her all the attention she needs for now. We haven't thought any further ahead than that. Just now.
Minutes after Gemma was found came the phone call her family at home in Wantage had been praying for. The call came from granddaughter Sarah, who'd gone down to Dorset to comfort Gemma's parents. With the rest of the family, he'd anxiously watched television reports for the latest news. Now the waiting was all over.
They take me to the hospital after a seat in the house in Bidford. They're going to ring me back and let me know.
You're going to phone Leslie? Does Leslie want to?
Thank God.
I'll give her a ring.
I just hope she's okay. She's home, that's the main thing.
Was she able to tell you if she was injured in any way?
No. It's just over the moon.
The good news spread quickly as more relatives from this close-knit family rushed over to share the emotional moment. Later, when Mr. Currams was told Gemma was fit and well after a hospital checkup, the family made plans for a big celebration. Julie Clyde, Sky News.
A man aged 23 has tonight been charged with the girl's abduction. He'll appear in court in the morning.
Meanwhile, a woman has fought off a man who tried to take her 2-year-old son from her back garden. Tracy Smith heard her son Nathan screaming and then saw the man trying to drag him away. She struggled with him before he ran off from her home at Kitts Green in Birmingham.
We're taking a break on Sky World News tonight, but coming up, saved by a Batman, the boy at risk from a hosepipe bomb.
Friday on Sky One.
How I kill you is a matter of great importance. It is a matter of honor. I will not kill you the way you killed my brother.
A visitor comes to town, and he's gunning for Hunter.
In 15 seconds, I intend to draw my gun and shoot.
Carlos, you've seen way too many John Wayne movies.
That guy's a nut!
I think the best way to do this is just meet the guy on Sunset Boulevard at high noon.
Hunter, Friday at 9 on Sky One.
Over the last 4 years, British Gas's commitment to their customers has encouraged more than 1 million new customers to connect up.
Didn't know you would ever go.
It's only for a couple of days.
Didn't know you could be so tough.
Oh, stop it.
Head and Shoulders? I didn't know you had dandruff.
I don't. You do.
With an ordinary medicated shampoo, dandruff can be left behind, but Head and Shoulders, used regularly, keeps it away.
You look great.
Don't have dandruff with Head and Shoulders and new intensive treatment.
Because we've been recycling your empties for years, our bottles have always been green.
Three RAF crewmen have been killed and another is seriously ill after 2 tornado jets collided over the Humber estuary. The fighter bombers collided in mid-air during a training exercise near Spurn Head. 2 of the crewmen had been rescued by an RAF helicopter shortly after the crash. The training exercise was routine and unconnected with the Gulf crisis. An RAF board has now been set up to investigate the cause of the crash.
A little boy has been saying thank you to Batman today, the Batman of a former army commander in Northern Ireland. Sergeant Ted Olive spotted an IRA bomb on a garden hose just as the 5-year-old grandson of General Sir Anthony Farrar Hockley was picking it up. Sir Anthony said his grandson Callum was fantastically lucky and could have been blown to smithereens.
The Batman of General Sir Anthony Farrar Hockley is today being called a hero. It was he who spotted the General's 5-year-old grandson playing with a garden hose to which the bomb was attached. His immediate action was to grab the boy and raise the alarm.
Well, I only got as far as, you know, to drag Callum away. He was standing next door to it. I just had a quick glance and as I came up to it.
It was obviously Sergeant Olive's quick reaction which stopped the bomb from going off. The The 54-year-old sergeant was the General's former orderly when he was Commander Land Forces in Ulster, making him an IRA target.
It's very easy to hit soft targets like me. They call themselves soldiers, they're not soldiers, because they're taking on easy targets.
Detective Chief Inspector Phil Thomas, head of Thames Valley CID, is leading the inquiry. Today he appealed for help from the public in finding the bomber or bombers.
We're asking for anyone who may have been approached by any person, male or female, asking directions in general terms about Molesford itself, or in particular the location of the General's house or where he lives himself.
Back at the scene, Fallon's father described how lucky his son had been that the bomb hadn't gone off.
Obviously, one was very thankful that that he was not blown all over the garden. As simple as that.
It's ironic that the terrorists forgot that a hose ban was in effect. That order to preserve water has clearly preserved life. Ian Seymour, Sky News.
There's been a sharp increase in the number of homes repossessed by mortgage lenders. The Council of Mortgage Lenders says record numbers of homes were repossessed in the first half of the year, and the trend is still rising. Mortgage lenders also say that a growing number of people are having difficulty in meeting their home repayments.
High interest rates are taking the blame for the record number of mortgage arrears and possessions as borrowers struggle to reach repayments or sell homes which are now a burden on a sluggish property market. The number of repossessions in the first half of this year rocketed to 14,390, an increase of 95% from the end of last year. Similarly, mortgages 6 to 12 months in arrears rose to 76,280 at the end of June, from 58,000 at the end of December. Mortgages over 12 months in arrears rose to 18,750, from 12,030 over the same period.